Right now at noon, the dog days of summer aren't over yet. In fact, they're being celebrated in downtown Joplin tonight. We have a look at this month's Third Thursday.
And we're not joking about those dog days of summer. It's going to be heating up. In fact, getting hot already today. Latest on that forecast just ahead.
Plus, blindsided, the Toohey family fights back against allegations from former NFL player Michael Orr.
The 4 states' most watched news starts now.
Good afternoon, and thank you for joining us on KOAM News at Noon. I'm Caitlin O'Shaughnessy, and today's top story, a back-to-school tragedy in Wichita, Kansas. An elementary school student is dead after she was hit by a bus. Police say the 8-year-old girl was waiting for her school bus when she darted out between 2 cars and was hit by a different bus coming through the neighborhood.
If you're a parent or even have these conversations with your children that we're going to have increased activity with the buses on the roads now that school's begun, and just in general to have those discussions with your children about entering the roadway at any time and to be safe about it.
The girl's name has not yet been released. The accident is still under investigation. And firefighters fight a blaze that spread quickly through a small house in Joplin. Calls of a structure fire came into Joplin 911 around 9:40 p.m. at 1209 South Iowa Street. Upon arrival, Joplin Fire saw the blaze from the rear end of a single-story structure. The department utilized a defensive attack due to the fact that the fire spread so quickly through the building. The house was found to be empty upon initial search of it, and this is a developing story. So we'll have more information as it becomes available on our website at koamnewsnow.com. Kansas Governor Laura Kelly announced that an additional $1.2 million will go towards efforts to combat the effects of the ongoing drought. This amount is in addition to the $3.5 million distributed each year for similar conservation efforts. The funds will go towards erosion reduction, promotion of water conservation, and mitigate the effects of the ongoing drought. This additional funding comes as the U.S. Department of Agriculture projects that the wheat harvest will be 122 million bushels short of the state's 330 million bushel average. And the 4 states area, as well as much of the country, is dealing with a shortage of school bus drivers. We spoke to the Carl Junction and Pittsburgh school districts. While they were able to fill all their full-time bus driver positions for this fall semester, they're having a hard time hiring for substitute positions. The local school districts are not alone. According to USA Today, a survey conducted by Hop Skip Drive shows that 92% of education and transportation leaders report that their operations are constrained by the driver shortages. As the school year approaches, officials are concerned about unexpected but not unfamiliar situations.
Right now, the first day, I will probably be driving a bus. Our mechanics can both drive, so we do our best to get as many routes as we can get out there. I don't see us having a problem the first day just because everybody should be here.
Times where teachers are, for example, finished with their class day and they may be going to an activity anyway, or a coach. We can use those as a bus driver to and from that location if they're going, and it also gives them the opportunity to maybe have a little bit more spending money.
Both school districts are taking applications for substitute bus drivers. For more information, go to our website at koamnewsnow.com. And there's a new internet service provider in Nevada, Missouri. Yesterday, Fastwire Broadband held a ribbon cutting to launch their service. Officials say it'll help bring Nevada fast, reliable internet.
So Nevada, Vernon County is such a rural community. We haven't had something like this, really had the opportunity to grow that. And so this I think will be something that will extend people's businesses, extend people's communication to bigger cities, just help everybody in the community.
Fastwire provides internet to other locations in Missouri, Nebraska, Louisiana, and Alabama. Mercy is partnering with Concert Health to provide more accessible behavioral health treatment. To combat the lack of mental health access in the community, the partnership aims to build a model for people to receive the care they need while giving primary care providers an avenue to expand services. Allowing nurse practitioners and other APPs to prescribe behavioral health treatment cuts back on wait times and frees up appointments.
They've often waited months or years before they seek treatment because there's been a stigma, And when they finally seek treatment, they can't wait another several months or a year to seek treatment. They need some help now, and so we've started prescribing straight out of family medicine to help these patients.
Mercy plans to implement the collaborative care model in Arkansas and Oklahoma by the end of this year. Now let's take it over to Chris Warner for a look at your forecast.
Yeah, we've got another warm day ahead of us. We're going to continue to heat up. In fact, today we're going to be hot, but we're going to be about average as we head through the afternoon. Unfortunately, average is not going to last. Quick look, MoDOT camera, 32nd and range line, looking off to the south. Got some clear skies looking south. However, we are starting to see some increasing clouds out there, and we'll see some cloud cover as we head into the afternoon before it clears out again in the evening hours. Yesterday, started the day out at 58 degrees and made it up to 83, so well below our averages for this time of year. And of course, today we are suddenly going to be average. In fact, temperatures already warming up. We've got 80 in Lamar, 79 Pittsburgh, 83 Joplin, Miami, 81 Chautauqua, Chanute, 84 Neodesha, Parsons, Newata, Veneta, Grove, Jay, Anderson, lots of 84s. We're sitting at 83 in Carthage. So what we're keeping an eye on is this. The heat is going to begin to return. As if today wasn't going to be hot enough, it's going to get even hotter out there, and our heat index values will creep up just a bit. But at least as of right now, the good news is we're not expecting excessive heat index values like we saw a couple of weeks ago. And unfortunately, we are going to be staying dry for the next several days around the area. So just as always, even though the weather's calm, it never hurts to scan that QR code or go to your favorite app store and get that KOAM Skywatch weather app. It's like having the entire Skywatch weather team right there in the palm of your hand. We will take another full look at your forecast, talk about how hot it's going to get and how soon here in a few more minutes. Caitlin?
Third Thursday is Joplin's premier community cultural event, and it all kicks off tonight on Main Street. Every third Thursday from March through October, thousands of people gather on Main Street to enjoy local artisans, music, entertainment, and food. This third Thursday's theme, the dog days of summer. So bring your four-legged furry friends along and show them off. Sponsors and vendors will have dog-related activities going on throughout the night, as well as plenty of places for them to cool off in the August heat. Tonight's festivities run from 5:30 to 8:30 p.m. in downtown Joplin. And that's a look at today's top stories and weather in the four-state region. Up next on KOAM News at Noon. How the family that inspired The Blind Side is responding to a former NFL player's lawsuit claiming they took advantage of him. And later, we're making Tuscan One Pot in the Mr. Food Test kitchen. Stay tuned. Now to the latest in a feel-good Hollywood story that spun into a real-life scandal. The family depicted in the film The Blind Side is speaking up after former NFL player Michael Orr claims they took advantage of him and made money off his name. CBS's Jared Hill has the story from New York.
A bomb dropped on our clients.
Attorneys for Sean and Leanne Toohey say they were blindsided by a lawsuit filed by former NFL player Michael Orr, a man they took in when he was a teenager. In a petition filed Monday, Orr accused the Tooheys of tricking him into signing what he thought were adoption papers, or at least something like them. Instead, it was a conservatorship.
He wrote a book in 2011. He acknowledged that there was in fact a conservatorship.
The suit also claims the Tooheys used the conservatorship to profit from stories about Orr's life, including the Oscar-winning movie The Blind Side.
We want to know if you would like to become part of this family.
It took in more than $300 million, but according to the petition, Orr received no compensation for the film, quote, that would not have existed without him. Wednesday, the Tooheys' lawyer called the allegation absurd.
Each member of the family has received the same amount of money. We estimate each person received $100,000, each person in the family.
Including Mr. Orr.
Correct.
Including Mr. Orr.
Correct.
Orr has long been vocal about not liking how he was depicted in the film.
You know, The Blind Side, it was told, like I said, it was told by other people.
Now, the 37-year-old wants to end the conservatorship and get a full accounting of how much cash came in over the course of that agreement. Jared Hill, CBS News, New York.
The Tooheys' lawyers say they plan to file papers to end the conservatorship and call Orr's claims a shakedown. Still to come on the KOAM News at Noon, We see what's cooking with Mr. Food.
Today, I'm sharing a dish that's a cross between a soup and a stew. So, when you're in the mood for that first of the season taste of comfort, you're armed and ready.
But first, we are talking about highs nearing 100 degrees in the coming days. Talk about that heat when we come back. Welcome back to the KOAM News at Noon. So we are on our way to a hot day, but a seasonably hot day before temperatures really start to ramp up across the area. Temperatures ramping up in the studio because I've just learned from our chief engineer, Bill, that he's managed to meet a lot more Star Trek people than I ever have. And I'm a little upset about that because you folks at home know I absolutely love that show. And Bill just comes down here and says, guess what I've done? And I'm like, you know what? There's the door, Bill. All right, let's take a look outside before things get heated, because they're going to get heated out there. We got clear skies looking to the south from the MoDOT camera at 32nd and Rangeline. But take a look, MoDOT camera at US 60 and Missouri 59 Neosho right before the banner came in. There's a few high clouds up there. And from our camera at the KOAM studios here just north of Crestline, it's a little harder to see with the sunlight, but we do have some increasing cloud cover out there. And that's going to be the trend. We're actually going to go to some mostly cloudy skies heading into the afternoon, but we're still going to get hot regardless. KDOT camera 69 East 520th Avenue, looking good. We're still getting that sunshine, and it's hard to see. These are kind of thin clouds right now, but they are expected to increase. So we're sitting partly cloudy in Joplin, 83. Only feels like 84, so negligible. And we have a west breeze at about 15 miles an hour. Heading over to Pittsburgh, 80 degrees, feeling like 82, so again, negligible. The west wind at about 3 out there. Dew point humidity both up there, but just not enough to really make it super uncomfortable. As we look around the area, we've got 80 in Lamar, 81 Fort Scott, Chanute, 84 Neodesha Parsons, 85 in Sedan now, 83 Miami, 82 Neosho, and we're sitting at 83 in Carthage. So we are continuing to warm up. And again, we're looking at highs today, primarily in the upper 80s, but again, out to the west where it's getting a little warmer already. We'll see those highs go into the lower 90s across the area. And then we'll start to see some increasing cloud cover later in the afternoon, but this will be short-lived. Once this little batch of clouds moves on out, we'll clear out later in the evening and into the overnight hours, and that will allow us to get really cool tonight, at least one more time, as we'll eventually fall back in the lower 60s. We're talking 81 by 8, 74 at 10, and down 69 by midnight, again ahead of that low, right around 61 degrees. Now, as we look ahead, it's an alarming thing to look ahead, but we've just been spoiled the last few days. We really have. It is summertime, it is August, and this is what's going to happen. So tomorrow, we're talking low 90s, so that does put us just a little above average in some locations, but not by much. Then Saturday, Sunday, and almost all of next week, yeah, it puts us well above average. This is what we're talking about. Saturday, Sunday, both highs around 99. Wouldn't be surprised if we see a couple of 100-degree readings out there. And the good news is, again, at this point, humidity levels aren't going to be sky high. So we'll have heat index values, but they're going to push maybe, say, that 100 to 105 range, maybe a little over, but that still is dangerous enough. And I know there's a lot of festivals and things going on between Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. So if you have any plans this weekend, you need to make sure you're taking precautions, stay hydrated. You know the routine. Stay indoors if you can and limit your time outdoors otherwise. We're going to stay in the mid to upper 90s as we head through the majority of next week before we start to see a brief cool down, still above average temperatures, but at least not quite at 100 degrees by the end of next week. And we're going to see those the rain chances. We've got slight chance of an isolated storm or two Thursday evening, and then we've got a slightly better chance of some evening thunderstorms for us on Friday. But again, I know this is a long, hot, dry forecast, but don't worry, we're still looking at the above average precipitation. I just want to kind of reiterate that and remind folks that that is what we're looking at, is that above average precipitation later this summer and into the fall months. So we just got to get from here to there.
Good to know. Thanks, Chris. We'll bask up that heat. Well, stick around because we're making Tuscan one pot in the Mr. Food Test Kitchen. We'll be right back. It's time now to check in with Howard and the Mr. Food Kitchen staff. Today he's making an easy one-pot dish just in time for some cooler weather. Maybe not quite yet, but still, it's called Tuscan One Pot. Take a look.
It's officially summer, but before we know it, the kids will be back in school, the weather will start to cool down a bit, and you're going to be looking for dinner ideas that are hearty and that'll warm you up. So let me share a dish that's a cross between a soup and a stew. That way, when you're in the mood for that first of the season taste of comfort, you'll be armed and ready. We start by sauteing some turkey sausage, onion, and garlic all together until no pink remains. Let me tell you, this already smells amazing and we're just getting started. Next, we add in a few cans of great northern beans with the liquid and all, a can of diced tomatoes, a good amount of chicken broth to give it some oomph, a bit of Italian seasoning, and a touch of black pepper. We'll let this simmer for a bit, and when it starts to thicken, we'll stir in a good handful of fresh spinach. Now, this is my kind of meal. It's all made in one pot, so cleanup's a breeze. Plus, it's budget friendly, which means we can make it often. As for the taste, we'll let you find that out on your own. So head over to your tablet, computer, or phone so you can get the recipe for our Tuscan One Pot. I mean, why wouldn't you? I'm Howard in the Mr. Food Test Kitchen, where today we found a comforting fill you up way for you to say, ooh, it's so good.
To find this recipe, along with many others, just head over to our website at KOAMnewsnow.com and click on Mr. Food. And now here's a look at the 4th state market prices.
All right, starting to heat up today, upper 80s, low 90s out there, but at least seasonably hot. A pinch above normal tomorrow as we go low 90s and then well above normal this weekend and into next week as we get in upper 90s, closing in on 100 this weekend. So again, make sure you're taking precautions. If you're doing anything this weekend, stay hydrated, stay safe.
All right, sounds good. And what do you have for us this evening?
A lot at 5 for starters. Former President Trump is hitting the campaign trail, headlining a fundraiser in Nashville. Quite a bit of the money Trump has already raised has gone to legal fees. He's battling 4 separate criminal cases. Plus, it's move-in day for Missouri Southern State University as students get set up for success ahead of the school year. And a weekend of celebration at the Freedom of Flight Museum to honor one of the godfathers of flying. Hope you join us for those stories. A lot more, of course, is coming up on KOAM News at 5.
All right, well, thank you for joining us. Make sure you tune in at 5, and we'll see you back here tomorrow morning.